how to instantly build trust with somebody. This could be somebody you're on a date with and you want to make them trust you more. This is somebody you might be in business with and you want them to trust you more. Obviously, from an interpersonal standpoint, trust is a very valuable skill set, and learning to get people to trust you more instantly is very valuable. So one of the simplest things you can do before you leave that conversation is make a small promise, right? In marketing, we do this all the time. We obviously say, hey, if you download this course, we'll deliver it to your email, right? So it's a small promise. It's simple. If we do that, if you message us and I'll say, I want this course, and below you comment, send me the course to make millions of dollars, and when you comment, I send you that course and you get it. It's a small promise. So if you're on a date or in business or a leader of your organization, if you can make small promises and consistently keep them, they're very, very, very valuable, and they can instantly build trust with somebody. Another way to build trust is being vulnerable. If you share a vulnerable experience with somebody, what that does, it creates an openness where they're going to trust you more, and they're going to be more to share something vulnerable about themselves. And then on top of that, if you show empathy, right, and can connect with them empathetically, so people should be doing this naturally because they're being authentic and they should be transparent, right? That also builds more trust when they're transparent. This is something I hate about most men when it comes to dating, and even women in the whole dating dynamics. I think it's just terrible, is people can't be honest, right? It's like women will tell you they want you to be honest, but they really don't want you to be honest, and men won't be honest because they know it's kind of a trap. It's like when a woman asks, what do you want with the relationship? Well, obviously every guy initially wants the same thing with the relationship. And they always want that same thing, right? Like that's the one, their primary need, their driver of why they, how they feel loved, right? So, but if a guy actually was honest and said, yeah, I want sex, a woman's going to be instantly turned off to him. But that's fully transparency, right? I know I digress in that. But a woman, if she was completely honest and said, hey, I want to connect emotionally, and I want you to, I want to be heard when I share what I have to say. I don't need you to fix things. Sometimes I just need to vent, and I want you there, and I want you to be a rock by my side so you can support me emotionally. And then we'll feel more connected, and I want to have sex with you more. Like if they can both get to that point where it was really true transparency, then it would be more effective. But most people initially would never say that because it would turn the parties off, and they'd know. It's like walking up to a girl and be like, yeah, I want to marry you. I find you super attractive. They'd be like, oh, you're crazy, right? So I always put a little salt with being authentic, because you can't really be authentic right now if you're in a casual setting, first meeting somebody. Authenticity builds over time. The more you can be a little bit more authentic each and every time in that relationship, because if you're authentic right off the bat, you'll typically scare people with real truth and real honesty, because people aren't really ready for it, right? Like if you were, like, we could all just be straight up and straightforward and that would work, but it never does, right? Which is, hilarious in itself, or you might not find it funny, but you need to hold yourself back in the beginning, because if you share too much, then you're going to look like a psychopath, right? But you want to learn to be able to be a little vulnerable and share enough that they share a little bit and be more vulnerable. And it's just like that constant give and take, right? Another way you can build trust immediately is show competence, right? Obviously, you have to be confident first before you can be competent, right? You can't share something and look not confident when you share it because it doesn't come across as being competent. So if you're very knowledgeable in a subject about building trust, or if you're very knowledgeable about, how to something that would really, light up the person's eyes that they're really into. If they're really into human behavior, and you can talk about Brene Brown, you can talk about, Tony Robbins, you can talk about a few people that they might be in tune with. Well, now you're speaking the same wavelength. You're basically on the same page. So the more you can become, and it's also like become a fan of them. If you're a fan of what they do and you can root for what they do and what they're trying to go for, and obviously there's the opposite of that. If you can oppose anybody who's against them, you can instantly kind of build trust with them because you're partnering together. You're partnering us against the world, right? Another way to build trust is immediately start to fantasize with them, right? Fantasize about the future, fantasize about their goals, fantasize what they're really into. So if obviously I'm talking about a dating context, it's different versus if I'm talking about a business context, it's still interpersonal relationships, right? People fantasize about different things. You talk about, their career, their goals, where they want to head. And if you can start to partner with them, a lot of times it really just comes down to listening. If you listen and notice the little things they say, you pay attention to that and keep little promises and start and make more promises the more frequently you see them, and you consistently uphold those promises and deliver on those promises, you will build more trust over time. I always talk about you always have to give trust to get trust, right? So if you're not giving your trust first and you're not trusting them first, it's really hard for them to trust you back, right? It's no different about love, right? If I'm not sending loving vibes out, then I'm not going to attract those back, right? If I'm not happy internally, I'm not going to typically get a lot of people who are happy back my way. So positive mindset, always it's about changing you first and then getting what you want second. Obviously in the bad hands, and people who know how to manipulate and control and persuade people, you can use this to your advantage really easily, right? Like I can trick you by being like, hey, I know how to build trust really fast. I'm going to make a small promise, right? Before I leave this conversation, I'm going to make a small promise. So if you comment below, I'm going to make sure and respond. And so if this gets millions of comments, it's going to put a ton of work on my plate, but I don't think I'm at that point yet in YouTube to get that. But hey, challenge me, right? Bring it on. So if you comment on this video, I will respond. That's my small promise to you, and I will make a personal response directly towards you and your goals and what you want to achieve, because I want to partner with you. Here's another one, right? Like I want to become your fan because I want to build that trust with you, and through that, hopefully, I can show competence, which is another one to build trust on that. And from a standpoint of being vulnerable, this is challenging for me to ask for help. So I'm asking for your help to leave a comment below, because I don't like asking for help. I like doing everything myself, but I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm striving to become better, and hopefully you are too. So those are a handful of things that you can do to build trust immediately, right? It's that simple. Over time, obviously, it's about, connecting with people, listening to them, being there when they're at a struggling moment and not trying to fix them, right? Sitting with them when they need somebody to be empathetic with them. If somebody dies, if they're going through divorce, if their, dog is sick, if their career, they're having a struggle getting a promotion, you don't always have to have the answers to their problems. A lot of times you just need to sit with them, and being empathetic is the way I was I was told, I think I got this from Brene Brown, it's not about talking them out of the hole that they're in. It's about getting into that hole and just sitting with them and making them feel comfortable. A lot of times you don't have to say anything, right? Like as a man, I always look at it from a standpoint of like, how do I be the rock, and how do I just be there for them and show up and let them, be the shoulder they cry on, or let them, be heard. So I'm present and I'm there while they're sharing that information. I'm not on my phone. I'm not looking at elsewhere. I'm not doing anything else. I'm present, I'm in the moment with them, and I'm there experiencing what they're going through as best that I can, even though I'm not in that, in their body, or, I can try to imagine myself in their shoes, and I can just say, hey, look, it sucks. I can't imagine what you're going through. I'm here for you. If you want to talk to me about it, otherwise I'll just sit with you. I'll be present with you while you go through this, because I want to be here for you. And that's how you can build trust, and you build stronger bonds and relationships with the people that you're with. Obviously, the more empathetic you have, the more, EQ, emotional intelligence, that's what that stands for. If you're not familiar with that, the more you can have of that, the better you can connect with people. Video's starting to go a little long, so I won't, I'll add another video on top of this about a revelation that I had when it came to, being a man and protecting and making people feel more secure and safe, right? Like my kids and, the person I'm with, like that's always important to me, but it was more from a physical standpoint. And I learned like, oh, wait, if I can do this from an emotional standpoint, that's a whole other level. Because let's face it, burglars don't break in your house that often. I was always thinking about, hey, I got to protect my family from if a burglar breaks in, all that stuff. But really what I need to always do is focus on, hey, how can I protect them emotionally? Because these experiences happen more frequently. And I can do a whole other video on that. And I'll talk to you all about that, because I think men need to listen to this, because it hit home hard with me. And I was like, man, I'm missing the mark. And I definitely messed this up with my kids being younger. Even when I was married with my ex, I messed it up with her on, not being there on that regard. And I really was like, I read something that hit home where I was like, oh wow, like that is something that men need to really hear. And I think we all need to hear it on how we can make our, people in our life feel safer and a lot more emotionally safe versus physically safe than anything. But I leave you on that. Let's build trust. I challenge you to comment below, let this video blow up, go viral. But again, I'm not a big YouTuber. I'm just here to provide a helpful message that hopefully my kids listen to one day, their kids listen to one day. And I encourage you all to grow and utilize some of these skills or tactics or tricks, and hopefully become a better person. Take care. Bye.